In this episode, we are answering the most Googled questions about intuition. Are you ready?
Let's talk about what intuition really is.
Let's look at all the places intuition and ego show up in your life.
Let's share honestly.
Let's do the research.
I'm Jamie Hayhurst.
I'm Heather Wood.
This is the Intuitive Girls Guide.
Hey, Jay.
Hey.
So on the last episode before summer break,
Can you believe?
I know, right? That went by fast.
Yeah.
We're answering the most asked questions of the internet about intuition.
The whole internet.
The whole wide
Exactly.
I thought this would be fun because they aren't what I was expecting.
I bet.
They're a lot more like someone is just personally like help.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And these are
Help.
I also looked at questions people were asking ChatGPT.
Got it.
Your favorite
I
thing
know.
in the world. Just kidding. Jamie doesn't like it. Jamie's right about it. Like we've talked about it.
Responsibly.
Use it responsibly, please.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So I think a lot of these questions feel to me like the kinds of things you Google at 3 a.m.
Yes.
But I'm not mad at that.
Don't you feel like that it's oftentimes when a lot of people are looking to connect with their intuition.
Yeah.
Like we said that about in the tarot episode. Like
Yeah.
sometimes people don't pull a tarot card until they're in a crisis.
Yeah.
Or
That's
it's
okay.
3 a.m. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Are you ready for question number 1?
Am I?
I don't know. I think so. This one's not too bad. This was the most common.
Mm.
Why do I feel things before they happen?
Oh, yeah. It's a very normal question.
Yes.
Yes.
This is part of intuition.
Because you're intuitive.
Yes.
Right.
And I think if I was going to go into it more in depth,
Uh-huh.
I would say that sometimes the energy of a thing hits you before the knowledge of the thing.
Yes.
So that's what you're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a person alive, whether they identify as intuitive or not, who
Mhm.
hasn't had an experience where they knew something was going to happen and then it happened, or seconds before they were told felt
Right.
something or thought of someone or something. It is a very real thing. It's not always that dramatic.
Right.
It could be that someone's going to call you and then
Yeah.
they do.
No, exactly.
But sometimes it's like something bad. It's just that the energy of it
Mm-hmm.
goes through your system before the information goes into your brain.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that is.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot. It's usually very subtle and it doesn't actually mean anything.
Yeah.
But I'm just picking up information
Yeah.
of something. And
Yes.
then that the topic will come up and I'm like, oh, that's why I was thinking of so and so.
Yes.
Here they are.
I think claircognizant people are a bit more aware of this than not so claircognizant
Probably.
people. Meaning that like I sometimes can't separate the energy of just something and like, oh, that's a future something.
Mm.
But claircognizant people can separate
Yeah.
that somehow. Does
Yeah.
that make sense to you? Do you know
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, because because it's like a thought, but it's like, why are you thinking that? Like, why is that?
Right.
Why did that person come and hit my radar? Like,
Yeah. See, I don't necessarily question that. I was like,
No.
oh, I started thinking about that. I wonder what's up with that. That's interesting. Stored.
right.
I don't think like, oh, I've picked up something from the
Yeah.
future. It's
Right,
just
yeah.
info.
Right.
But I think claircognizant people can actually sometimes like label.
Sometimes
that's
I think,
happening.
yeah.
So,
probably sometimes.
I also just think it's how your own intuition works.
Right.
I think some people experience that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some people never or
Right.
rarely
Rarely,
experience it.
right. Yeah.
Okay. Question 2.
Mm-hmm.
How do I stop second guessing myself?
I'd say this is the number one question I see like on the social medias.
Yeah.
Right. Like, how do I know what's the difference between intuition and anxiety?
Yeah.
We have many episodes on that.
We do. And that's like a long answer.
It is. It really is.
But what I like about this question is it's not how to stop second guessing my intuition. It's how to stop second guessing myself. Because what you mean
Good
is
point.
your intuition.
That's great. That's a
But
great point.
you just said myself.
Yep.
Already 10 points.
Yep.
Great
You're already
job.
a step ahead.
You're already a step ahead.
Agreed.
To me, I think it's like a little bit of a mindset shift
Yep.
of it's all important information,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like, oh, I have a desire for this thing, and then you have a fear about the thing. That's not second guessing. That's your intuition and your ego doing their job.
Exactly.
You're just not, you don't understand the way that works. So
right.
most of the time when someone says they're second guessing themselves, I think they're just getting stuck in the information stage and not the what do I do with all this information
right
part of it.
Yeah, and intuition isn't supposed to be the end all be all.
No.
That's not what intuition is.
Intuition and fear are equally as important.
Right. So if you're second guessing something, it doesn't mean it's not intuition. It means your ego is doing its job of protecting you.
Yeah, if you're second guessing something, listen to it.
Right.
It's valid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Don't shame yourself for that.
Mm-mm.
You shouldn't just be like, I want to do this. Blinders on,
Yeah.
run at it.
Right.
Like, that's a recipe for disaster. Don't
Exactly.
do that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Also, don't just stop because you second guess it.
Right.
Take in the why am I feeling this way? What's
Yes.
going on? Like, analyze.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Jamie, I want you to try to answer this next question.
Okay.
This is a toughie. What does it mean to be highly intuitive?
It's a great question. I mean, we're all intuitive. Everyone's intuitive.
Uh-huh.
I would describe someone as highly intuitive as being very aware and in tune with their own intuition.
100%. It doesn't, so intuition, like we say, is a
It's not that
spectrum.
I'm better than you if
Yes.
I'm highly intuitive or I'm like more intuitive. It just means I've done more work.
Well, that's a very patriarchal way of looking at it, to
Right.
be like, oh, you're more intuitive than me. That's not, it doesn't really make any sense when it comes to intuition.
No.
Okay. You could say, oh, you have intuition as a tool. You clearly are really in tune with that tool. You use that tool a lot and you
Right.
understand that tool really well,
Mm-hmm.
more than I do. That, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But like we say, intuition's a big spectrum. You
Yeah.
fall somewhere on that spectrum. And then once you're on that spectrum, the way you use intuition is different. It has to do with sort of like your makeup and what you're here to contribute to the world.
Right.
It's not a measure of how much you contribute. It's just
Right.
the kind of energy you contribute, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to take it out of patriarchal thoughts,
Yep.
which is hard.
It is hard.
I get. But to me, I would just kind of reword the question and kind of like you said, like really in tune with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, same as someone being like, that person is an incredible swimmer. They probably have some natural gifts, but maybe they also had some privilege and were able to have access to a swimming coach really young.
Exactly.
Maybe they love swimming and that person
They live
doesn't.
on a lake.
Yeah, right. Like there's so many factors
Right.
that it doesn't really.
Yeah.
It's not a measure of
No.
of how good somebody is.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I like this one. The thing that was Googled was signs I'm going through a spiritual awakening.
So this as a question I like.
Love.
Hate it when it's like a TikTok or a reel that's like signs that you're ascending.
You're
You're
entering
going through a
4D.
spiritual ascension. You're in 5D. That I don't like. I do think there are legitimate, valid answers to it, but I don't like when they're sort of like, ugh.
Yeah. My problem is this. I don't like the term.
No, I don't either.
Listen, if you use it, if it's a thing,
Ascension?
spiritual awakening.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yes.
I understand. I'm not mad at anyone using it.
Mm.
Okay. But like, it makes it sound like it's just a sort of otherworldly divinity type of experience.
Right. Right.
And like the other word you're saying that I also don't like you're ascending.
It's like this, like they have, it feels like superior. It has this like superiority laced in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
So I don't know if it's just like having been people who grew up and like were paying attention to the spiritual world in the early 2000s and there's like a hangover from that, or if the term is actually not great. It's just one of those things. It's kind of like the term psychic. It's just like been used so incorrectly that I just start to not like it.
Yeah.
So the thing for me is that it's just kind of like you're going through a change.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're realigning what your desires are and like what you want in your life. And that's a normal thing that's going to happen to you like 50 times in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because you're growing, and it's
Yeah.
like a really beautiful thing, and it's also really hard and sweaty to do in a world that doesn't teach you how to do it,
Oh, it doesn't support it.
and that it's normal. You're supposed to, like,
Right.
at 18 pick a career path and then do that
For
job.
40 years.
Yeah, and then
Right.
retire and then
Die.
move to Florida or something and then
Just
die.
die.
Right.
Yeah.
Just die. I mean, that does happen.
Yeah.
So it's an interrupter of that.
It is.
I mean, that's kind of what a spiritual awakening is, like
Yeah.
an interruption, really.
Yeah. No, I mean, if someone was telling me they were having a spiritual awakening, I would think they were suffering in some way.
Yeah.
Like,
I'd
I
be
wouldn't think it
oh,
was
what's
like
going on?
sunshine and roses.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be like, oh,
No.
something's up.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I'm telling you the signs, I would say that your desire and fear are out of whack. Like they're not working together. They're working against each other because you have to, like, I'll use like woohoo terms.
Mhm.
You got kind of out of alignment.
Yeah.
Because you outgrew something that
Right.
you were already.
But that's going to look like you all of a sudden hate your job, or you break up with a long-term partner, or like
Change.
that misalignment is going to manifest in your life as misalignment.
Yeah. If you're
Right.
going like, why are these things that were once
Right.
great,
Suck.
why do they suck now?
Right.
Like,
It's because you're ready to grow.
Exactly. Like,
Right.
to quote our Lord and Savior Taylor Swift, like, this cage was once just fine. It's no longer.
Yes.
It's normal.
Right.
You grew.
Great point.
Good job.
Thanks, Taylor.
Okay. Thanks, Taylor. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So signs that that's happening is that you're having sort of those moments where you have to kind of like relearn yourself a
Right.
little bit because you're different, and
Mhm.
these things that were going on before have surfaced in a different way, and your limiting beliefs are stopping you from making the changes you want to make, and so everything is sweaty and difficult.
Mhm.
And even if you are the ascended master of everything, these kinds of moments are really hard.
Yes.
They're like,
You're growing.
part of it's going to be great, but
Mhm.
before you get to the great part, you're going to have the like lay on the bathroom floor parts.
Hell yeah.
That's all how it goes.
Yeah. Dark night of the soul.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the sign. Have
Yes.
you laid on the bathroom floor in the
Yeah.
middle of the night?
Exactly.
That's what
Welcome.
you're. Yeah. Welcome to the club. Oh, you'll like this one. It's similar to the other one, I think. How do I know if I'm following my intuition or fear?
Mhm.
I get asked this question all the time. If I was Google, this would be my number one
Your number
asked
one,
question.
right.
Yeah. How would you answer that? Before I do.
To know the difference between intuition and fear.
How do you know the difference, Jamie?
Well, I learned once from someone that intuition is loud, but it only speaks one. Or you don't say it's loud. It's loud to me. My intuition's loud.
It's bold.
It's present. It's present.
Yeah.
It makes it self-aware, but you only hear it once.
Yeah. Doesn't
Anxiety is like repeat.
Yeah.
It's like that Charlie XCX sound.
Yeah. It's like an earworm.
You know, that like Party on You song.
Yeah.
Where everything sounds like it's sort of like
Yeah.
the room starts to spin a little bit.
Yeah.
That's anxiety. Like when you're stuck in it,
Yeah.
that's anxiety. Intuition does not feel like that.
No.
You're acting, you're moving. Like you always said, like,
Yeah.
if it's your intuition and the example you gave me was like as a young mother,
Mm-hmm.
if you were worried about like your child in their room and they were like, is my kid not sleeping?
Mm-hmm. There's something wrong with my kid. You
Something
wake
wrong
up with
my
that
kid, and you're
feeling.
like, fuck,
Yeah.
something's wrong with my kid. If it was intuition and something was wrong with your kid, you'd be up and running to their room.
Before you could think it.
Right. But if it was anxiety, you'd still be laying in bed like, what if they're dying? What if they're choking? What if I walk in there and they're dead? And like, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
Go check. Either way.
Both ways. Go check.
Either way, go check.
Yeah.
But like the feeling of those two are different.
Very different. I like when you were describing fear or
Mhm.
anxiety that you made for those watching, so she made her finger go like around in a circle, because that is
It's the
what
spin.
fear
Yeah.
is like. It's like
Mhm.
something spinning around
Mhm.
you, where intuition is just sort of like a thing that you have been told or
Right.
experienced, and then you just keep knowing it. You don't need it to spin. It's just
there.
it just sits in you.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really, it's like someone turned on a light,
Yep.
and now the light's just on. Or like fear is like there's something like a bee is buzzing around you in a circle.
Yes.
Is how I
Right.
would say it. So, and your intuition just tells you what you want. It just tells you what you desire, and your ego tells you what it's afraid of.
Right.
So in the example that you were talking about that I like to give, your intuition can get a message like something's off your intuition wouldn't get the message like my kid's dying in his sleep.
Right.
Okay. Your intuition would get the message of like something's off,
Alert.
out of alignment
Mm-hmm.
with my kid. And so
Mhm.
you would just sort of like begin to react to it.
Mm-hmm.
And on the way to your kid's room would realize the thought process of like, what's wrong?
Right.
Okay. Because your fear would react to your intuition.
Right.
Okay. Your fear is going to be like, maybe they're choking to death. Maybe they're left a necklace on while they were sleeping and they're
Or-
being strangled.
Or maybe you're making this up and like nothing's wrong.
Yes. And then it's going to go, but you're going to get up for nothing. And then you're going to not going to be able to fall asleep. Like it's all going to
Yep.
be fears.
Yep. Yep.
So that's how you know the difference.
Exactly.
And it's something that comes with practice. Like you
Mhm.
just have to start being able to like differentiate. And once you do, they're so different. You won't keep asking. the
Yeah, like you can
question.
feel them in your system. They feel different.
Exactly. Okay. Can intuition be developed or improved?
Welcome to this podcast. So this whole thing is about
Yes.
yes. Yes.
In every single person.
You just said it. It's like it's a spectrum. You might
Yes.
be born at like with certain abilities or like maybe like a lot further on the spectrum than
Yep.
someone else, but like everyone is intuitive and yes, you can improve them.
This question speaks to how much people don't understand what intuition really
Exactly.
is. And so
Right.
that
They
makes
literally
me
have classes.
sweaty. Yes, they do.
I know someone who was like not at all
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking
aware
about.
of their intuition, not at all open to it. And I honestly think they just thought it would be cool if they could be like a medium.
Yeah.
And they did it. They went through all of they went through the training.
Yeah.
They had like a mentor. They went through the classes and they are a medium now. And they're good. They can do it.
Yes. Because that's
It's like a skill set.
communing with spirits is a natural human thing. We
Yes.
always did that.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not like, oh my God, this otherworldly skill. It's like,
Yes.
hey, is that one of the intuitive gifts you have?
Yes.
So yes, you can go to these classes and courses and, this person that you're talking about is not someone you would guess
No.
would be
No.
a medium.
No.
They wear 0 broom skirts or jangly bracelets. Like this
No.
is not who I would pick out of a lineup of like, that's a real intuitively gifted person.
No.
But that's just what their gifts are. Someone else could go
Mm-hmm.
into that and learn that and not do as well at it or not like it as much and go like, maybe I'm not intuitive. And that's where the mistake is. It's just
Right.
like, no, that's just not your specific
Right.
kind of intuition.
You could also go to that class and have someone next to you who's like, it's a no-brainer for them. It's so easy.
It's
They pick it
easy,
up right away.
yes.
It's like
Yeah.
no sweat. And you're sitting next to them like, I'm working hard for this.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that that's a skill that comes more naturally to them. Or they've already worked on it and you haven't. Like
Yes.
you don't know what someone
No.
else has done in their life.
And that's what makes it difficult to sort of like teach intuition in
Right.
the way that I think people kind of see as like this sort of sexy way of like, I want to be
Right.
able to know what's behind door number 1 or something.
Yeah.
Like your intuition is yours. Like sometimes
Exactly.
people will say to me, oh, how did you just do that? And I can't explain it to you because I don't know. I was
Mhm.
born able to do that.
Right.
But something else, sort of like mediumship, like being able to get a message, I could describe that to you because I was born able to see that there was stuff there, but I
Mhm.
wasn't born able to just communicate with them.
Right.
So
You had to figure it out.
yes,
Right.
so it's to you. And if you get stuck in like this one way, I'm intuitive or I'm not intuitive, you're gonna think you're not.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna think you're gonna get pigeonholed, maybe doing something you don't want to do.
Mhm.
Hey, I tried the career as a medium and I hated it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
No.
I tried. I
You
worked
don't
really
have
hard.
to.
I had
And you're good at it.
yeah, but I don't like to do. That's not what I
Correct.
want to spend my time doing.
Yeah.
And I kept turning it back to like,
Right.
what's going on in your life over here? Like that's where my intuition wants
Right.
me to
Because
go.
that's got it. Yes. Yes.
right?
Right.
Because you'll be led to what your
you
intuition naturally
wants
does
to do and didn't want to do that.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay. All right. I think we should take a quick break.
Okay.
And then hit the people with the second half of the questions.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah.
We'll be right back after this short break.
You know what goes great with podcast listening?
A great cup of coffee from a great coffee shop.
Yep, beans roasted in-house, amazing baristas. You know where I'm talking about.
Restoration Coffee. Can we go?
Yes, I need an Americano and maybe a panini too.
Ooh, I need blueberry maple latte and probably a resto bowl.
Ooh, yeah. Check them out and visit restoration-coffee.com.
Let's talk about what we're obsessed with this week.
All right, Heather. I'm gonna end this season
Uh-huh.
with a full-on
I was gonna
Debbie
say
Downer dungeon.
this. No matter what you were gonna say, I was like, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to do Debbie Downer
we're
dungeon
doing
because
it.
the people like Debbie Downer
I
dungeon.
don't know. I mean, I don't even really have anything to say other than
Wait a minute, you don't have anything to say about the current state of the world? I
it's
doubt
like for like where we are. So at the time of recording, it's May, the year 2025, and all bets are off. Like we've been saying this for a while. I know I always say this, but like we've been trying to warn you guys, and I know a lot of you have listened, but like all arrows have been pointing towards fascism. All arrows have been pointing towards authoritarianism.
Mhm.
Obviously, white supremacy is already here. It's been here since we colonized this land, the way
Right.
us white people did.
Mhm.
And but like things are bad. So like if you're listening to me and you're like, well, Jamie, no, things are bad. They're bad.
I also think that a lot of our listeners are the people who have also been saying it.
Yes.
So it's validating to hear
Yes.
somebody be frustrated
Yes.
and like validating to them that you're right. It
it is bad.
It is awful. It is,
Mhm.
to me, in the last 3 weeks, we've like clicked into a new level
Yes.
of terrible. And they're slow clicks, which is so agonizing to experience because it's hard to
Mhm.
fight that way. It's on purpose. But
Of
like
course.
it's really tough.
Yes.
It's
And the propaganda is strong.
yeah.
Like the propaganda of capitalism
yeah.
and of patriarchy, and like the fact that we're all still like going to work and doing, like, people are going to day jobs and like sitting in a cubicle
Mhm.
for 8 hours a day while like society is literally just crumbling around us. And like
Yeah.
I hope you can see it.
Yeah.
I don't want you terrified. I do want you terrified because that's how you're gonna like decide to do something. But like,
Yeah.
I don't want this. I'm not trying to convince you of this because I want this. It's because I want you to see it, because that's the only way that like we're gonna survive it at this point.
I mean, there should have never been a time when anyone just put their head in the sand.
Oh,
But if you
Oh,
did,
they
the
sure
sand
did.
is like gone.
no, right, exactly. And like, the hope is that the system has to break.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about, is like the slow clicks, is
Yeah.
like the system is breaking and crumbling, and this is like the death knell of capitalism. Hopefully some parts of patriarchy, right, like are crumbling in this country.
Yeah, because they're being exposed.
Right.
Yes.
So the hope is that like it crumbles and then we can rebuild, right? But like
Yes.
we have to get through the crumbling before we can start to rebuild anything.
I would like to personally apologize
Mm.
for myself in the year 2020
Why?
when the astrologers
Oh,
were telling us
yeah.
that the shit was hitting the fan
Mm,
and that things were not going to be okay for another 10 years.
yeah.
Because I was like, this sounds dramatic.
Yeah.
I mean, I quickly changed
Yes.
my tune, but like,
Yep. It's
they were
true.
right. Exactly what they said was
Yes.
going to happen is happening.
Right.
It's the slow.
Burn.
They were like, it's the tower card, but it's going to fall
Yeah,
slow.
you have to live through it. You have to like pretend everything is okay.
It's terrible. Our nervous systems are not designed to like wake up every
Right.
day to some other terrible thing.
Fresh horror.
And we both live in Massachusetts, and the ice
It's bad here.
raids are so bad here. They're so scary, and
Mhm.
it's just
Yeah.
just don't wait until it personally happens to you, because then it's too late for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's do something. Let's act. Take
Yeah.
the summer to act.
Act.
To do something.
Yes. Whatever you can figure out to do that.
Do it.
But pay attention.
Yep.
Jamie, are you ready for the next question?
Yeah.
Okay. Googled quite often was, What's the difference between intuition and gut feeling?
Oh, nothing.
I mean, gut feeling is an intuitive feeling.
Right.
It's just, I mean, you can intuit that the person in front of you is having a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
You can intuit that you need a snack.
Yeah.
You can also get a gut feeling that you're intuiting that the person near you is dangerous and you should get away from them. Like, it's all just parts of intuition.
Yeah, I mean, those are sort of like interchangeable words that, like, I would think of someone who doesn't consider themselves intuitive, like a muggle per se. Like, if someone says, like, I have a gut feeling, a sneaking suspicion, a hunch, I know that they're talking about their intuition. They just don't use that word. They
They're
don't
just
know
using
what
more
that is.
mainstream
Yeah,
terms.
like more regular.
That's an excellent point.
You know?
Yeah, I would say the only other people I hear say that are clairsentient people.
Yes.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good point too.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's sort of like saying what's the difference between mediumship and intuition. It's just like it's just a version of it.
Like a branch of it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Why is intuition important in decision making?
Why?
Well, it's the thing prompting a decision. So you wouldn't have a decision if you didn't have
That's a
intuition.
great point.
So
That's a great point.
one doesn't exist without the other.
Right.
But-
if you didn't care, because intuition is desire.
Yes.
Right.
So the fact that there are two choices is intuition.
Yep.
Why it's important when you're at like maybe a crossroads and you're trying to figure out what to do is if you don't pay attention to not just what you desire, but the feeling you're desiring, then you're never going to get somewhere that feels good. Like
Right.
there isn't a right path or a wrong path. There's just a path that feels more the way you're desiring to feel and one that doesn't feel as much that way.
Yeah.
So,
And if you don't know where to start, literally start with your body. Like,
yeah.
oftentimes your body will be ahead of you, unless you have like a lot of like trauma and you're dissociating. Then you might not feel any of that. That's happened before. But like oftentimes my body will tell me before I even quote unquote think about a decision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I can tell before I have like processed information, thoughts, or intuition. I can tell if I like someone based on if I'm leaning towards them or not.
Right.
And I'll probably correct it
Mm-hmm.
because body language is important. But like if someone's talking and I find myself leaning in, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
The lean
Or not.
away.
Yeah.
Very telling. But like
Yes, it is.
I haven't even processed it yet, but my body already knew.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a clear cognizant element to your body. It just
Yeah.
knows.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
Yeah.
Also, if there's an animal nearby that doesn't want anything to do with somebody, that you should definitely pay attention to that.
Yes.
Okay. Next question. How do I trust my intuition more?
Mm-hmm. Well, listen to every episode we've ever made.
Yeah. Step one. Learn what your intuition really is and what it does.
Right.
Like actually learn it, not just sort of like the weird patriarchal version.
Yes.
And like what's shown to you in movies.
Yes.
Actually learn what it is.
Right.
So you have to know that in order to trust it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other is just learn to trust yourself.
Yes.
If you can bet on yourself, you'll be fine. It's trusting your intuition actually is a sentence that doesn't make any sense.
Good point.
If I'm being really picky.
Yes.
You're
That's a good point.
Because your intuition and your ego will tell you different parts of something and then you will
Right.
make a decision based on that. So I think what you're trying to trust is that.
Yes.
So.
Right. That's a good point.
Okay. Is it splitting hairs? Maybe.
Potentially,
But
it's
it's
important.
It speaks to your knowledge of intuition.
Right.
And I think it's important.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is intuition the same as spiritual guidance? No.
What?
I guess I hear people use the term spiritual guidance in a lot of different ways. So I guess
Yeah.
it would depend on what you're
What you
talking
mean.
about.
I was going to say that.
Are you
so.
talking about you're asking another person to give you some guidance on
like do
how
they
you
mean
should
like
do?
God or
Like, are you
angels?
are you asking a life coach or your therapist? Are you asking
beings?
divine spirits? Are you asking goddesses? Like, who are you? Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean? Are you saying
That's
like I
important.
received spiritual guidance in my dream, or is someone guiding you? Like that's a person. These are all different.
Right. I mean, that situation I would say is your intuition.
Yes. But again, it's a form because like it's another term I don't like, Jamie, and I feel like I'm going to be known as the lady who doesn't like any terms.
Too bad.
But they don't actually describe the experience, and I
No.
feel like they mislead people.
So
So
words matter. Like,
Yeah.
like that's important.
yeah, so when someone says like I was meditating and I received some spiritual guidance, that's kind of misleading as to what happens intuitively, in my opinion. I know what they mean. I'm not mad at
Yeah.
them for saying it, but
No.
it's like it's not like a white dove floated down and like handed them a note and they read the note and they got it, or like I don't know, Jesus floated down in his half shell, or that's Mary in the half shell. Sorry, I've been out of the religious game for a long time. And they like told you something. That's not what intuition is. That's what it's like in the movies, like Jamie says all the time, because that's how you like visualize it.
But also, those situations are taking you out of it.
Yes.
Like
It's
just
not an
like someone
outer
else is
source.
telling you something. You're just getting like a message.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with you.
But I do understand when someone's like, the universe, I got a message from the universe, or I got this from the universe. I do understand what they
I do
mean.
too.
They're like taking
That,
something
right.
in. And I do get that. I do believe that. Yes, got it. Some people say source. Some people say God. Some people say the universe. Yes. But like, is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about like you innerly just got some guidance, like from your own self? Like, I don't know what you mean.
Well,
Am I being really autistic about this? I don't know.
I mean,
Okay.
I mean, maybe a little bit, but like, but I agree with you on it. I do think it's important. But then now I'm thinking like, when say you see a sign, right, like a feather, like you're walking on the street and you see a feather in front of you.
Yeah.
That's intuitive.
Yeah.
But is that my intuition, or is that a sign from the universe?
It's both.
Exactly.
It's you interpreting something
I was just gonna say that
from something else, but it's still you.
because what made you notice it?
Yeah.
Someone else would have walked by it.
Yeah, it
Someone
wouldn't
else-
have meant something to
Right,
somebody else. It
exactly.
meant something
So
to
it's
you.
your intuition,
Yeah.
but it's an external sign.
I'm always weary of someone who, whatever their belief system is, every sort of like thing that they talk about intuiting is from an outer source.
Agreed.
Can some of it be? Yeah. Like,
Yep.
can you get advice from dead grandma? That's great. Yes. Can you get it from like an angel or a goddess? Or also, yes. But is that your only way that you're talking about getting it? Because that's kind of red flaggy to me. Like that.
Yep.
And I don't mean like you're problematic. I mean, I don't think you're understanding the process.
I don't think you're trusting yourself enough.
Yeah.
Like that was mine. Like that was my whole thing. Was that I thought intuition was outside of me.
Yes, you thought like the way to be more intuitive is to be like a better receiver.
Right.
Yeah, and that's not.
Right.
That's not. Is it part of it? Yeah, but you don't actually need to be a better receiver. You need to be better understanding what you're receiving.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But it's actually like freedom when you can let go of that
Yeah.
patriarchal expectation of like always getting signs from above or hearing voices
Yeah.
or seeing things like
Right.
like when you can let go of that and really like figure out how your intuition works and how your energetic body works, that's like where the sweet spot is.
Yes, because even if the divine guidance
Right.
you got
Mhm.
was from dead grandma
Mhm.
or Persephone or I don't know,
Who knows?
Jesus in the half
I
shell
was
that
gonna
I
say
made up.
Jesus.
Okay.
Well, they say he's an ascended master.
Okay, whatever. I have complicated thoughts about that. Anyways, even if you got that,
Uh-huh.
you got it. You
were the
took it.
vessel.
and you figured it out.
Right.
Like you
Exactly.
picked up on it.
Right.
Like so it's still you. And it's just a very patriarchal concept to think that divinity is something completely outside of you.
And it's something that you have to give up to something else, to some
Yes.
higher being.
It's something else is powerful
Right.
and I was chosen
I was just a
receive it.
conduit. Right.
No, that's patriarchy and that's
It is.
not
And
accurate.
that keeps you disconnected from your own intuition.
Yeah. Do I think a lot of people, maybe the first time they're kind of like tuning in, it feels like that?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yep.
But it's important to know that's not actually what's happening. You're the powerful one.
Mhm.
Okay. I like this question, Jamie.
Okay.
What are the signs that my intuition is trying to tell me something?
Oh God. I'm not answering that question.
I don't blame you. But it's a
We have
valid
1,000
question.
episodes on that.
Yeah, it's valid if you don't know
It
anything
is
about this stuff.
but there's no answer for it.
Yeah.
It depends on you. It's different for everybody.
And I don't mean this in a shame-based way, but it's a bad question.
Yes.
It doesn't give you the right answer. It doesn't actually give you what you're looking for.
Right. Right.
Your intuition is always trying to tell you something. It's never not. 'Cause
True.
It's literally always
That's its
reacting
job,
and it might not speak in words, but like
Right.
it's always 100% of
Right.
the time doing stuff.
What are some examples that you could give? Like,
I would say if something gets like, this is like a super old lady thing to say, stuck in your craw.
that is an old lady thing to say. Uh-huh.
But that isn't just your intuition. It's your intuition and your ego
Mhm.
being like, I haven't got on the same page as this.
Yeah.
Because there isn't like a big sign in your body that your intuition's saying anything. And there isn't a big sign in your body that your fear and your ego is saying anything, because they're always saying shit.
Right.
But there's a lot of signs when they're not, you haven't come to a decision, or you haven't reacted to both of the things, or you haven't put them in balance. You haven't made them both happy. That you're going to feel.
Right.
I do think there can be signs from your intuition, like, why do I keep having like all these like super vivid dreams? Or why did I suddenly stop dreaming? But I think that's more like your physical body being like, hey, you might need some energy work here, or you might not be looking at some stuff. It's clunking us up here. Like, I think that stuff happens, but I think I don't know that that's really answering what these
No.
people mean. You
Yeah.
won't like turn a different color. Your
I think
hair
there
won't
are,
fall
like,
out.
yeah.
Your eye might twitch. That happens
Well,
to
that
some
does
people.
happen too, I
But
think.
I
I think there might be some like a little bit of hyperfixations on things. Like, you keep thinking about something, or you keep, and not in that anxiety way that we mentioned earlier, where like you're like really worried and in a spin about it. But like, if something keeps coming to your attention, or if you keep hearing something in conversation, or something keeps coming up, I think that's a sign of something that you should like check out.
If you were just like thinking about getting a cat, and then you are watching TV and the people get a cat, and then you're at the coffee shop and the person next to you is talking about getting a cat, those are signs, because you wouldn't have paid any attention to that if you had like figured out what you wanted to do about the cat. So yes, those are all intuitive signs, but they're signs like, look here, but they're both your intuition and your ego. So
Right.
I don't know.
Or say you had like applied to adopt a cat, and then your friend on the podcast mentioned adopting cats, and you were wondering.
I try to pull stuff out of thin air.
You never do.
I can't.
You never do.
I was like, this is Jamie talked about this a while ago.
I really did just apply for it to adopt a cat like 2 nights ago. I was wondering about it. You actually did pull it out. So I
Was
guess
my
that's a
intuition
sign.
trying to tell me something? No,
No,
I just
but
tried to pull an example, and my intuition picked up something that was generating off of
But
her.
mine was telling me something with you saying it.
Yeah, so it's
Right. So
but
it's
your
like,
intuition wasn't like,
oh,
Jamie, pay attention. She just said that.
no, and it also wasn't like, oh, then you're not going to get the cat because Heather brought it up.
Or you are going to get the
You know
cat.
what I mean?
It's just like,
It just
ooh,
brings it to my
further.
attention.
Yes. So it's kind of like a consciousness,
Right.
I think.
Yeah, you have to be aware. You have to be aware of the way your body works, and your brain works, and your Claire's work, and your energetic body works. Like, that's unfortunately the work, in quotes, that we always talk about. Like, that's why we have so many episodes. That's why this podcast isn't one episode about intuition, because it's not
that simple.
It's not that simple, and it's not the same for everybody.
Exactly.
So you have to learn like all the different aspects of it, and then figure out how they apply to you.
Yeah. I think what the person is asking
Mhm.
is, how do I know when I'm not listening to my
Right.
intuition?
Probably.
I think it's what you actually mean.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's different.
Yep.
That is, you will feel very unhappy
Yes.
because your desires aren't being met.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. There's a few more questions. Hang in. What blocks or interferes with intuition?
Oh, okay. Lots of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, the two big things that come into my mind is first, a misunderstanding of intuition in general
Mhm.
will make you feel blocked from it because you don't understand what it is. If
Mm-hmm.
you're expecting it to be the dove floating with the message,
Right.
of course it's going to feel blocked.
Right.
Okay. The second big thing I would say is like fear,
Yes.
because your fear and intuition need to work together. And if they're not,
Mhm.
your fear is going to, it's not necessarily going to block it, like you're not going to get it,
Mhm.
but it's going to block you from being able to react to it or do what you're thinking.
Yeah. The only thing I would add to that is that physical things, like if you're not grounded / your nervous system
Regulated.
is dysregulated,
Yes.
right? Then you're not going to be able to pull any
Yes.
intuition in because you're dysregulated. Or like if you're tired,
If you're
if
sad,
if you haven't eaten,
if you're angry.
right? Like if you know what I mean, if you're
Yeah.
distracted, like
Yeah.
if you have like raging ADHD and like you're not managing that,
Trauma.
trauma, like things like that are going to, it doesn't stop the intuition. It impacts how you're able to receive or perceive it.
Yes, 100%. That times a million.
you
That's
know?
your intuition isn't really ever blocked.
Right.
You're just unable to understand, and
Right.
it's your communication or
Right.
your ability to interpret it that becomes
Right.
blocked in the sense that people are asking about.
But it is a physical, as much as intuition is energy, yes, it is all energy. Your body is made of energy. So
Yeah.
like you have to be fed.
Yeah.
You have to be hydrated. You have to sleep.
Yeah.
Like you have to, the better you take care of yourself,
Yeah.
the easier it's going to be for you to be.
And see, that's not
intuitive.
the sexy answer people
It's not.
want. The truth is that the
It's
better
not.
relationship you have with yourself, which is what you're saying, like
Yeah.
your ability to take care of yourself, right?
Right.
The easier intuition is.
Yes.
So yes, I wish it was that you just had to like climb to the top of a mountain and
Vesuvius.
yeah, or like
Jump in a volcano and
do a cold plunge or
Right.
whatever.
right.
I wish it was like, oh, just do this and
Yes.
it will work, but it isn't. It's just sort of like a daily practice of taking care of yourself. And some days you're going to be a rock star at it, and other days you're not. And it isn't about perfection. It's just
No.
about having the tools.
And not to like harp on it, but like when we talk about having your needs met, like eating, sleeping, drinking water, like those are the most basic human desires of your body. Your body
Yes.
needs those things. So like
Yes.
if you're not meeting the desires of your body,
Yep.
how are you ever going to get in touch with the desire of your heart or your
Yeah.
life goals or whatever?
Yes.
Like if you can't, like
Right.
your body isn't going to trust you
Of course not.
if you can't drink enough goddamn water during the day or feed yourself or get enough sleep. And I know there's a lot of reasons why those things don't happen,
Right.
but that's where you start.
Well, and there's a lot of reasons those things happen, because you're not saying that as like a shame-based
No.
statement. You're saying it as like, let yourself off the hook. Like we
Yes.
sometimes jump people with intuition to these crazy places, and it's
Yes.
like, this person can't even sit alone with themselves for a
With
couple
their
of minutes
thoughts,
with
right.
their thoughts. Of
Right.
course, you can't
yes.
jump them to doing an hour-long meditation. Like
Right.
that doesn't make any sense, right? But we do that.
No, I mean, I've said on this podcast before that I was someone who literally like couldn't moisturize my body after a
know.
shower.
It's true. I know.
How am I going to like talk to
Right.
the ascended masters? I sound such an asshole, but you know what I mean.
I do.
Like, you
but that's
can't,
where
like, you
people
gotta
jump.
start there.
They're like,
you
you
have
know
to
what?
Start.
I can't moisturize my body after a shower because I'm dealing with some shame-based stuff, and I can't. My relationship with myself has deteriorated to the point that
Right.
moisturizer on my body feels unsafe. But I think I'll
True,
go to
it's
this 2-week retreat
Yes.
where I learn to commune with the land and the dead
Yes.
and get messages.
Right.
And they go to those because I get it, because that's the part you want to get to. You want to
Yes, you
skip
wanna
all the
start
other
there,
stuff.
right, to
I
get it.
feel you,
Yes.
my friend.
Mhm.
But it's never going to work. You're going to feel worse because you have to get that part before you can get to the fun
you
stuff.
can't maintain any of that work without the basics.
Yeah. Okay. This is going to sound weird, but I'm going to say it anyways. Both of us have had experiences when if I was doing a session, you were doing energy work, where we went into that not at our best.
Yeah.
every human has been that, right? Like
course.
you and I both have enough integrity that we do everything we can to always be at our best.
Yeah.
But like there's this thing called life that happens outside.
Mhm.
All right. But the reason that you weren't at your best was because you were going through something personally.
Mhm.
And for some reason that had you a little disconnected from your own self. So
Yeah.
doing the intuitive thing was harder. You probably still knocked it out of the park. It was just a harder experience. But
Yeah.
like that's really what it is. When people come to me and they're like super intuitive person, they can't figure out why stuff is harder for them. Maybe it's part of their job. They're a healer or a medium or something. I don't go like, let's see what's broken down and between your connection to spirit and you.
Right.
I go, what's going on with you?
Right. Exactly.
And let's work on that so that you can get back to that state that you
Exactly.
need to be in.
Right.
So it's just like a misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
And you're being taken advantage of if someone's not making sure you're in the right state to do the big, fancy, expensive
Yes.
thing.
Exactly.
Okay. If you're going to a retreat and the retreat is run by like a white man and the place that you're going is a place that's like the people who are from there are not white and those people are not really like taken care of, the people who live there, don't go to that place.
Please don't.
Okay. So that as nice as I could without saying specifics, but I was thinking of someone when I
Wow.
said it.
Yeah.
All right. How do I overcome fear and self-doubt? I'm just laughing because if we knew the answer to this,
Right.
we would be a lot richer because
Yeah.
it's not a one sentence
No.
answer.
No.
I mean, you don't is the answer, I guess.
Correct.
You
Spiral
always experience it.
staircase.
You just
Right.
have better tools to deal with it so that it
Yeah.
doesn't disrupt your life as much.
Correct.
You will
Yeah,
always
it's never
feel,
going to stop.
yeah, you can't listen, it's very patriarchal to conquer fear or eradicate self-doubt.
Kill your ego.
Yeah, no.
Right.
Well, that's not how any of it works.
No.
You need your ego. You need
You
fear.
need fear.
It can
Right.
just get to like it's operating out of balance.
Right.
And so get the tools so that you know how to fix that.
Mhm.
Okay, one last question.
Okay.
I think you're gonna like this one.
Okay.
It's a hard one,
Okay.
but I think you're gonna like that people asked it. How can I become more self-aware?
Oh, that's great.
Great question.
Great question.
Yeah.
How would I say that?
I mean, for me, I would say start to get more in touch with your intuition or your ego. Start to learn your desires and connecting with them and your fears and understand that. To me, that's the step one of self-awareness always.
Mhm.
But I think if you want to make it like a little bit more general,
Mhm.
you got to kind of start with the parts of yourself that you have in the shadows. It's the shadow work. Like,
Shadow work. Yeah.
what don't you like about yourself and
Mhm.
why? Like, what are you hiding? What are you always frustrated with? What do you feel a lot of shame around?
Mhm.
And again, that's not the sexy answer, but like
No.
I think it's true. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Or I would say even like literally just start paying attention,
Yeah.
which I get is what self-aware means, but like take like a little bit of a step back when you're like I feel like sometimes people maybe it's dysregulation, but like sometimes people are living almost like too much in the present,
hmm
and you have to kind of step yourself a little bit back and be like, okay, I'm really upset right now, or I'm feeling really ashamed right now, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think even just literally just being aware
Yeah.
of reactions, then you'll start to pick up patterns, and you'll start to see that like, oh, I feel this way when this type of thing happens.
Yeah.
That is going to bring self-awareness, and that is what leads you to the shadow work.
100%.
Then you're like, okay, so I have an issue
Yeah.
with rejection. I have an issue with shame. I have an
Yes.
issue with abandonment. Like whatever it
Yes.
is, you start working on that.
Yes. Because the
Then you're in
question is really, how do I become more self-aware?
Yes.
And it kind of reminds me of the question of people being like, am I a narcissist? And the fact that you ask the
Ask that,
question
right.
means you aren't.
Right.
So the fact that you asked, how do I become more self-aware or self-aware at all, means you are self-aware.
Yes, exactly.
So it's,
right.
there's that element. But when I think of someone who's not self-aware,
Mhm.
I don't necessarily think of someone who knows themselves in and out, inside and out.
Mm-mm.
I think of someone who's aware not just of like their own needs, but like also is able to consider the people around them at the same time.
Mhm.
So like to me, when I'm like, wow, that person is really not self-aware,
Mhm.
they're the people who are like just like their stuff's coming out all over everybody and they don't know it and they're like blaming everybody else for their stuff. Does it sound like I'm trying not to talk about politics? Because I am. Like even just something small like being at the grocery store and it's crowded and someone just stops their carriage in the middle of the aisle instead of pulling over to get the thing. And I just think like the lack of self-awareness, you're only focused on what you need in this moment. So that sounds like you're self-aware because you're focused on yourself. But to me, self-awareness is also like how that's playing around me, how it's contributing to the whole thing here.
Self-aware.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
No, yeah, no, I know exactly what you're trying to say. You being self-centered and selfish is not self-aware.
It's the opposite, in my opinion.
Opposite.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
No, I
Because
think
you're aware of what kind of impression you're making,
right.
How you're impacting those around you.
And if you're stopping in the middle of an aisle, you either A, have no idea, or you B, don't care.
Right. And that's not being self-aware.
No, not at all.
I mean, every retreat, workshop, class, whatever that I have ever been to on any topic, there is the non-self-aware person
Always.
that raises their hand and asks a million questions that are not pertinent to anything except
Talk
trying
about
to show
themselves.
off who they are. And they're centering themselves in the whole entire thing. I've never been to anything that there was. I usually get there and I look around. And I'm like, who is it? Who's it going to be? It's usually a white lady, a middle-aged white lady. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that to me is the opposite of self-aware. And it isn't like, I feel like if you go too far in the other direction, it's not self-aware either to only be thinking about how everyone else is receiving me. That's people-pleasing. That's also not self-aware. Self-aware is like knowing your own stuff and being able to see how that impacts everybody around you.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
So how can you become more it? First, understand what it is.
Yeah.
And second, like just understand your stuff. I know what people tend to think about me negatively. And I can use that to like beat myself up, or I can use that as information to like consider when I'm talking to people. Right. It's up to you.
It as information.
But just the fact that I know it is self-aware.
That is
like
exactly.
it isn't.
I think the question is like, what do I do with self-awareness?
Yeah.
Right.
I think you just have to like start to become more comfortable with yourself
and work on your stuff.
If shame's somewhere, it's just a flag waving that's like, I need to understand something about myself better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Start
Look here. Yeah, exactly. So,
Yep.
I mean, I'm self-aware enough to know that I would like a cup of coffee, but what do you think?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go get that. And I just want to say, great season, Jay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We'll see you on the flip side.
Yeah. Hey everyone, Heather and I have an ask for you. If you love this episode or if you love the IGG, can you do us a favor? We need you to go onto whatever platform you listen on and download, subscribe, like, love, whatever it's asking you to do. Can you go do those things for us on the platforms that you listen on? It would mean so much to us.
Thanks for listening to our episode. For a way to get in touch with us, please visit our website, intuitivegirlsguide.com. We love hearing your feedback on our episodes.